Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Okta. Good to see you again in this conference. And today we will talk about language assessment, principles and issue. This topic based on Brown Books, chapter 20. So let's get started. So first of all, let's know and defining the test and assessment first. What is test? Test is a method of measuring a person's ability or knowledge in a given domain. And then assessment. Assessment is an ongoing process that encompasses a much wider domain. The teacher subconsciously makes an assessment of students' performance. So usually assessment is happen not only, for example, if the test only happen in the end of the class, but in the end of the meeting or of the semester, but assessment it happen every day or not every day, happen in the classroom when the class is going on. And now, number one, let's see the principles of language assessment. The principles of language assessment. Number one, there are practicality. Practicality, it is within the means of financial limitation, time constraints, ease of administration, and scoring and interpretation. So it means that the assessment it take a lot of cost or not, and spend a lot of time on the assessment or not. And then number two, reliability. A reliable test is consistent and dependable. To increase the reliability of the test, use rubric with clear description of each criterion. So when we have assessment, it is more easy for us, for the teacher, to use the rubric because we can give the student score based on the rubric. And then validity. The degree to which the test actually measure what is it intended to measure. Okay, so there are three types of validity. The first one is content validity. It means that whether the same topics and language focus as studied in the class or at the test. So when we have assessment or test, the language focus should be already studied by the students in the classroom. So the student will not think that I haven't learned about this one in the classroom. So that's the meaning of content validity. And then face validity, whether the test appears to be true and fair judgment on their language ability. And then construct validity, whether the test is really measuring the various components of the language skills, for example, pronunciation, fluency, grammatical accuracy, and vocabulary. Okay, now let's see the next principle of language assessment. Number 4, authenticity. The language that we use in the test reflects the type of language used in the real world. So the language the student learn in the classroom or in the test, it should be related with the language used in the real world. And then number 5, washback. The effects a test or assessment has on the study habits and general classroom attitudes of students. So washback, when the student have grammar tests, if the teachers only provide multiple choice and not writing items, the student just focus on the input only because they know only from the example that teacher already provide for them. But when the grammar test, when the grammar test they have to write and they know how to put in the other sentence, so that the output of the test. Okay, now let's see the principles of assessment. So this is the summary of all of that we have talked about. The principle, then associate concept. For the number one, practically, is the clear administrative details, reliability or consistency, validity, their content, phase, and construction. Validity means assessment to indeed objective, and content, the test tasks involve performance of the objective, and validity phase, the test appear valid to the test taker, and validity construct support through statistical and other research, and authenticity, natural and real world touch, yeah. And the last one, washback, positive, useful feedback to the test taker. Okay, second one, kinds of test. First one, we have proficiency test. What is proficiency test? Is the aim to find out how well the students can use the understand of English. That is the proficiency test. Number two, diagnostic test. The test that focus on particular part of language. Third one, we have placement test. Placement test, a test to place students into appropriate level on section of language curriculum or school. So the placement test you use to know the student in which level they are. And then number four, we have achievement test. So this usual achievement test, a test to find out how much of the material you covered in the class and student have mastered. So achievement tests usually happen in the middle of the semesters or in the final semester. So it's to find out how the student understand about the material that they have learned. Number five, we have aptitude test. A test to find out any natural ability students have for the language. And then number three, issues in language assessment. A large-scale test of language ability. To provide accurate measure of ability and used to make crucial decision about one future path. And then authenticity. What we are testing the students on will reflect just how they will experience English in the real world. Performance-based assessment. Aim for more output than input to see what the student can actually do with the language. So I think this is the implementation after the student learn about the language in their daily life. So this is the examples that we can use, or the activity that we can apply for the student. The first one, open-ended problem-solving tasks, and then hands-on projects, student portfolios and journals, experiments, tasks in various genres of writing and group project. And then expanding the IQ concept of intelligence. This new conceptualization of intelligence coincides with a sense of both freedom and responsibility in testing agenda. And then alternative in classroom-based assessment that embodies a learner-centered, authentic approach to designing assessment tasks goes hand in hand with an increased recognition. And then the social turn and language assessment. When the student can make specific efforts to take on new rules and identities within their communities of practice and socio-cultural. So it means that the students in their community, they can practice using the target language. So, critical language assessment. Standardized tests designed by reputable test manufacturers are infallible in their predictive validity. Alright everyone, I think that's all for my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Okay, Ms. Okta, in your
Yes.
opinion, which one is easier, teaching vocabulary to children or to adults, and then why?
Alright, so in my opinion, I think it's easier to teach vocabulary for the adult learners, because we know that adults can explore by themselves, and sometimes also adults they can get many vocabularies not only from the classroom, but also they can use the other technique. For example, they watch movies, English movies, or they listening to music. So sometimes the adult learners, they're more curious about, for example, in music, they will curious about the lyrics, so they will search and they will find a new vocabulary from it. I think that's all.
Alright, Ms. Okta. It happens a lot that teachers think that our students are very smart and are capable of doing difficult tests, but the test result of their test of the student don't meet our expectation. So how do we measure the level of difficulty we are going to give in the test regarding their ability?
Alright, thank you, Ms. Rama. So I think this also happened in my classroom. So I think when we have our session, we need to we need to observe them in the classroom. So you will know each student have a different kind of understanding, right? So yeah, you need to observe your students in the classroom to make sure the test, because you know it is you need to consider about making your test for your student. Thank you.
Okay, hi Ms. Okta.
Hi, Miss Me.
Okay, as we know that a teacher is very busy, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes we don't have time to make a test for our student. Okay, so my question is, can we adapt a test or an assessment for our students? So if yes, if it's possible for us to adopt it, so how to adopt it? So any criteria to adopt a good test?
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss May. So I think as the teacher, we know how to do that. Yeah, I think it is possible for the teacher to adapt or adopt a question for the test for the students. And I think you have to make sure which level of your students to in which level and in which level they are, so you will know which one the materials or the test that you have to adapt. I think that's all, Miss May. Thank you.
Ms. Okta,
Yes,
dealing
Ms. Indra.
with the online and offline classes, Ms. Okta, do you think that we need to have a different test for the same level, but different mode, like the online and offline classes? Because in administering the test, of course, there are differences, the obstacles. In offline classes, we can see the students, we can control whether they really answer the questions by themselves or not. But when we administer the online classes, we don't really know what the students are doing, especially when they have problems with the video, so they close the video. We don't really know what they are doing with the test, whether they really do the test by themselves or not. What do you think? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Yunita. So based on my experience, and I have sit in Miss Willie's class, so I've watched that when we have the online classroom, usually Miss Willis will use the Google Form for the online, and I think we need to make a different kind for the online classroom and also for the offline classroom. Yeah, I think there is the limitation of online learning, right? We cannot control them in for example, in a Zoom meeting or in a Zoom test, but I think in a Zoom meeting we must ask the student to turn on their camera, turn on their speaker, so we can control them even it is in online classroom. I think that's all. Also, if you want to make the question or the models for the test, maybe we can use quizzes. That I think it's more interesting for the student, because it's online classroom, right? I think it is more interactive for them to use quizzes for their test. Thank you.
When one program and one level has several parallel classes with separate tests, and the class also taught by different teachers, and when the time of assessment comes, do you have any concern about the validity and reliability of the test if the test is made centrally, that is made by the school, as opposed to when the test is prepared by the teacher for each class? What do you think about that?
I think I have concern about that, because we know each teacher have their kind of teaching. So I mean that every teacher have a unique style of teaching, and sometimes the teacher will feel afraid if we touch, for example, we touch A, but the teacher A teach a part, but the teacher B don't teach the part A. So I think we have, I think that's a problem if we have same class and same level in a journal. So yeah.
Do you have any suggestion to overcome the concern?
So I think before the class, or maybe before the test, we will have discussion with the other teachers that teach that classroom. So we will have discussion to text and have a review, because we know that before the test we have a review session, right? So before the teacher asks about the review for the students, we have to review with all the teachers first. So maybe we will ask, have you teach this part, and maybe we will share about that. So I think that is the way to overcome it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think that's all, everyone. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.